When was the last time that you experimented with something? Was it maybe 11th grade chemistry class? An experiment, as you may recall from those kind of classes, is where you have a hypothesis. Then you set out to prove that hypothesis either true or false, and you do it by taking some kind of action. How long has it been since you've conducted that kind of experiment? Hi, welcome to Everyday a New Thought. I'm Thor Chalgren. Most of us probably in life, we don't experiment very much as adults, or if we do, we don't think of it as an experiment. You know who did? Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson was an American writer in the 1800s, and he was part of the original transcendentalist movement. He wrote a number of meaningful essays, including Self-Reliance, Fate, and one called Success. Today, I want to explore a quote from an Emerson essay where he talks about experimentation, and not the 11th grade chemistry kind. Here's the quote from Emerson. He says, "I unsettle all things. No facts to me are sacred, none are profane. I simply experiment, an endless seeker with no past at my back." That's in his essay called Circles, which is one of my favorites. And today I want to look at this quote and ask, are there places in our lives where we can experiment more? First, let me give the full context of the quote, what comes before the quote, so you get a sense of the full quote. Here's what he says. "Let me remind the reader that I am only an experimenter. Do not set the least value on what I do or the least discredit on what I do not, as if I pretended to settle anything as true or false. I unsettle all things. No facts to me are sacred, none are profane. I simply experiment, an endless seeker with no past at my back." Now, first off, I hear in this quote, Emerson saying some version of, "I am not your guru." When he says, don't place the least value on what I do or do not do, he's basically saying, look, this is just me putting my thoughts out there, and don't elevate me to some platform where you say, oh, Emerson said this, and therefore this is how I should live. So first of all, I think that's always worthwhile anytime we hear advice, is to listen to it and take it in for ourselves and decide for ourselves if it is meaningful to us. And that's probably the first basis of this experimentation process, is you evaluate something and you make your own decisions about it. You put it into your life, into practice, and see if it works for you. So first off, he's saying, this is me saying, don't take me at face value always. Though I think he'd probably be a little bit surprised that over 200 years later, or almost 150 years later, people are quoting and thinking about what Emerson said. But he says, I am only an experimenter. I unsettle things. And what I get out of this, what it means to me, the way I think about it, is he's saying, keep an open mind. He says, no facts are sacred, none are profane, meaning no thoughts are so elevated above or below me that they're not worth me considering. So there are things that you think you know, the things that you believe are worthwhile, and those that are not. So he's saying none are sacred, none are profane. He's saying disregard those labels, experiment, unsettle things, and ask, all right, what if I didn't know what I think I know about this thing? What conclusions would I draw now, putting aside all that I think I know? And we may already do that in life. We may say, for instance, some version of, I think this is how most of us think about experimentation, is we say, oh, I'll try something. I'll try working out. I'll try getting more sleep. I'll try exercising more. But I think Emerson has something more formal in mind. I think he would look at it and say, trying feels rather not committed, rather haphazard. When you experiment, you start with a hypothesis, a formal stated hypothesis of what you think will happen, what you want to see, if it's true or not. Then you set out on a series of actions to prove whether it's true or not. Emerson goes on to say that he's an endless seeker with no past at my back. And in the quote, past is with a capital P. What I love about that is he's saying, let go of what happened yesterday, last month, or an hour ago. And that's really the only way that you can truly experiment with something is you let go of what has happened in the past and you have no attachment to what you think came before. You're simply saying, moving forward, this is my hypothesis. I think this will happen in the future. And now I'm going to set out to find out whether that's true or not. He would say that you can't find out something about the future if you're looking backwards. So my takeaway from this quote and how I like to think about it is to ask, where in life can I be an endless seeker? Where can I be looking for new things, new ideas, discover new things, and put aside what I think I know about something and discover what's possible to know in the future? The second thing I like to look at is, where can I be an experimenter? And the third idea is, what sacred facts can I let go of? What things do I think I know that I can allow myself to not be attached to anymore and look at a new way? So is there something that you can experiment with? And instead of saying that you'll try something or that you wonder if something is true, set a formal experiment with a hypothesis. For example, you might say, I hypothesize that if I cut out caffeine after 12 o'clock, that my sleep will improve. That's your hypothesis. So you're going to experiment, say for 30 days, by cutting out caffeine after 12, and then you're going to track in whatever way makes sense for you. How did your sleep improve or not over that time? And that's really the kind of experiment I think that he has in mind, where you're being deliberate and you're being thoughtful about it instead of just saying, I'll try something. So my encouragement to you is to think about, is there some way or some place in your life where you can experiment? Can you become an endless seeker? That's the episode for today. If you like the show, please hit like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast app. Until tomorrow, thanks for watching.